Welcome to MasGeli. I am Luis, and MasGeli is the name of this house actually. We started rebuilding it 3 years ago. After 6 years waiting for the license and everything. It's, well, welcome to Spain. But this is a familiar project that we started just 8 years ago. In 2014 is when we started planting the first vineyards. Okay, so the oldest vines are just 8 years old, and we started planting 5 acres. But last years we've been planting more and more, and right now we have 15 acres of vineyard. But when you start planting, you have to wait 40 years until you get the first grapes. So, for instance, right there where the bus is, these plants there are just 2 years old. So we have to wait 2 other years until we get the grapes. So the wines that you're going to try today come from the first 5-6 acres. The rest, for example, all the wines, the vines that are next to the lake, we did the harvest this 2 months ago in September. So if you come back next year, you will try the wines from there. Because here we are, you see this little hill, this little mountain that we are right now. This is the highest point between Begur mountain and the Montjuïc castle. Between these 2 points, this is the highest one. We are just 20 meters above the sea level, but right there where the lake is, it's 3-4 meters above the sea level. All this area on the 11th century, it was all water. It was the Ter River and the Mediterranean Sea that blended together, and they say that this was like an island. So the soil we have here, it's very different of what we have over there. Here we have a calcaric stone, 100% calcaric, and the most curious thing is that we have the stone just that deep from our feet, very, very close. That means that all these roots cannot penetrate the stone, they can only grow horizontally, so they have to fight a lot against each other to get all the resources, and the roots are touching the stone, so they get a lot of minerality. And in the other hand, at the very end, right there is 85% river sand. So right there the roots go deep, 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 they don't find any stone. And what we've done is to plant the same varieties here and there to see how with the same microclimate, but with different soils, the plants will adapt and the wines are going to be different. But again, I will explain you in the future how they are doing. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, okay? If I don't know the answer, I will answer as well. Let's continue. We are just 2.5 kilometers away from the sea. From that point we can see the Medes Islands and the sea. And being close to the sea has good things and bad things. Good things is that especially in the morning during the summer, we have this wind, we call it marinada, wind that brings us saltiness. Saltiness to our wines, that then this gives us a characteristic that if we would have planted the vineyard more in the interior, we would have other characteristics. No? But also being close to the sea means that we have a lot of humidity. And humidity plus sun, it's a welcome for the disease. So we help disease to come, and we are organic, so that means that we don't use pesticides, herbicides and fungicides, and all the treatments that we do are preventive. They are non-curative. So we have to anticipate all these weather changes. Now when we walk around, I will explain you also things that we've done when we planted in order to minimize the humidity. But it's true that not every year this is possible. Here in 2020, during the pandemic, there was another pandemic, not for humans, also for the vineyards. A fungus called mildew, I don't know if you heard about it, came because we had during the spring, we had this hot weather, but it rained almost every day. So it was like water, sun, and this was the perfect combination for this fungus. And in 2020, in summer, we thought that we were going to lose 70% of our production. We didn't lose 70%. In September, when we did the harvest, we lose 90%. Yeah, it's true that we lose 90 because we do the harvest manually. Always the rule number 1 is to pick up the grapes that you would eat at that moment, the ones that are perfect. So we prefer to pick up the ones that were perfect rather than having more liters, but worse quality wine. So yeah, we were supposed to bottle 40,000 bottles and we bottled just 4,000. That was 2020. But last year, 2021, was a very, very good year. So this is the wines that you're going to try today. So it's going to be interesting. Another thing, this variety is Carignan, red Carignan, and that variety there is Grenache, it's red Grenache. Now you have to believe me, but this is Grenache, this is Carignan. Okay. Now and everything I say, because I'm just messing around. Apart of these two varieties, we also have white Grenache. Apart of the red, we have white Grenache and rosé Grenache. This variety is very common here. The color of the skin is pink. It's not purple, it's not green, yellowish, it is pink, and we use it for white wines. Also we have white Carignan, part of the red, and also Macabeu and Subirat Paren. Subirat Paren is like a Malvasia. Any of these names sound familiar to you?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Phylloxera is an animal that lives underground. It's like a fly or a mosquito, between a fly and a mosquito, and lives underground, eats the root of the plants and kills the plant. More than 100 years ago, there was a huge plague all around the world of Phylloxera that killed the majority of the vineyards all around the world. And people started to investigate what they could do to prevent that animal. And they discovered that the American plant, the vineyards that are from America, are resistant to Phylloxera. So they said, okay, let's plant American plants. But there's a problem here. The American plant doesn't produce grape, or the grape that it produces, it's not good for wine. So you don't have Phylloxera, but you don't have wine. And the solution is to graft. The root is American, and then you graft it with the European part. It's like if I cut your heads and change it. With people it's more difficult, but with plants from the same family, the water inside still goes through. So why am I explaining this here? You see this area that looks different? These are American plants. We talk to them in English. And what we do right now is to let them grow, because we are looking for exotic varieties to graft them here directly. Because all the rest have already been grafted when we order them. They come with a passport saying that they have been grafted, because it is mandatory doing it like that. It is forbidden to plant the European plant directly, because that animal, Phylloxera, still exists. So if you do so, you are helping that animal to spread out again. So it is very important. And also, in terms of type of roots, when we say American root, there are different types as well. And I always like to compare it with the shoes. No? There are type of roots that if your soil is more humid or drier, or you want more fruit or less, you will choose a type of root. We don't wear the same shoes if we go to the beach, on a wedding, running. So same thing. It depends on the soil you have and what you expect from the plant. You will see. If you see the plants, all these knees that you see around the floor, this is the graft. The thing where the link is one thing that we really like to do is to keep the natural grass between the alleys. We do that for various reasons. One, because when it rains, it retains more the water. When it rains in a very short time, these small roots prevent the sun and prevent the water to get away the sun. And also, the most important thing is that all these flowers and plants that grow here, this apports aromas to the wine, because the aroma in the wine is in the skin of the grape. So everything that is involved or is touching the grape is going to have an influence. Sometimes we do walk around the vineyards and we collect flowers and we eat them, trying the wines that come from the same place. It is spectacular to see all these similarities and how the flowers and plants interact with each other, or they communicate in terms of aromas. It's so nice. Also, we have the irrigation. We only use it in case of extreme necessity. This summer we had to, because it was an extreme necessity. Here in 4 months, from April to August almost, it only rained 3 liters here of water. So it's also crazy. So we had to help the plants a little bit. Where do we get the water from? Underneath us, there's a big aquifer, so it's nice because the water comes from the same place, and the one that the plant doesn't need, it's going down again. Here behind you we have a lot of rabbit holes and foxes and animals like that, and this is fine for us, but there's an animal that we don't like. It's the wild boar, you know, the boar. This one is crazy. It's the grape 1 week before the harvest time, so when it's the sweetest, it's when it is. And yeah, they come almost every night, and they do a mess. In Alempurda, next to the museum that you saw today, the Lee Museum, there are vineyards also, and right there they are putting fences all around the vineyards because of this animal. And when the neighbor puts the fence, then you have to do it because they come to you. So it's complicated to right now we don't do anything rather than pray a lot, but it's very expensive to put the fence, because if you put the fence you have to do it really well, because if you do it so and the animal can get in, then they cannot get out, and then it's worse, the damage. So yeah, right now it's a problem here in this area. In 3 years the population increased 10 times. Yeah, and it's growing very fast. In a small box here, we installed that for bats. You know the bats? Yeah. So why do we like bats? Because each bat eats 1,000 mosquitoes per day, per night. So they help us to control the small ecosystem. Here with the rice plantation is an area that there are a lot. So it's so nice. How many bats do you think they live here? Oh, they weigh 10 grams. They're very small.
100.
50? A little bit more. More than 100. Yeah, more than 100 here. And we had them in the house, but when we started rebuilding it, we wanted to get rid of them, and we installed 3 small cases like that, and with their excrements, we brought them here. And it's nice because when you start to see the sunset, you start to see how they work. And they not only eat mosquitoes, because mosquitoes for the vineyard, we are fine. But there's a type of butterfly that reproduces in July. It's called Lobesia botrana. It's a butterfly that what it does, it punches the grape and puts the eggs inside. And the problem is the eggs, but especially if they penetrate the grape, the liquid goes down, so everything is ruined. This type of bat eats this butterfly as well, so it's perfect for us, because in other places what they have to do is to put pheromones to confuse the male butterflies and not to reproduce. So well, bats are fine with us in all kind of aspects. Yeah. If you have mosquitoes at home, you know the solution. So as I said, this is red Carignan, and this variety here, this one, it's white Carignan. White Carignan is a variety very complicated. You can only find 20 acres in the whole world of this variety. We planted one, and now we understand why there are so few, because as I said, it's really hard. If you look, a lot of them are missing. Every year a lot of plants die. The harvest is not in September, it's in October, so the longer you wait, the riskier it is for the plant to get any disease, and the sugars don't go down, the sugars don't go up, the acidity doesn't go down. It's complicated. We have this love and hate relationship with it, because we planted 8 years ago, and only 2019 vintage we could produce a few bottles. The rest, none. So if you want to plant a vineyard, I would not recommend this one. But we like it because the bottles that we get from it, it's a special wine that if you put it inside your mouth, it starts sweet, but if you leave it 5-7 seconds inside your mouth, your body temperature makes the wine change, and then it's bitter, it's acid. It's like doing a small trip. We like to pair it with oysters, fish with herbs. Plates like that is so nice. But it's not a wine that I would recommend for a whole meal, you know, but for specific plates. Have you ever tried this variety?
I think so.
Walking through Carignans. Now we are between Grenache, red Grenache and white Grenache. And I don't know if you've walked around other vineyards, and if you do it in the future, you can look at it. But you know these T-forms, we decided to form the arms, we call that arms, quite higher than the normal. The distance between the arms and the floor, we decided to keep a little bit higher, and we decided to do that because of the ventilation. We want the air to pass through and not the humidity to stay. Also, keeping more distance, we realized afterwards that you don't have to vent that much in order to the harvest, and that's a nice thing. If you are bored in September, you can come and help us. Fortunately, not all the grapes grow up at the same time, because if so, I call you to come. What we do in August, every 4 days, we pick up 100 grapes of each variety, and we analyze the acidity of that moment, the sugar, and the alcohol, the probability of alcohol. And with that, you start to see how all the grapes are growing, and it depends of the wine that you want to make. You are gonna know when is the best time to pick up each grape. That is very important, to know what type of wine you want to make, and then all the previous decisions are gonna have an impact on it. Also, before planting, we had to keep in mind the orientation of the plantation. We decided to plant north-south. Why that? Because here we have this wind called tramontana, a wind that comes from the north, and when it blows, it really likes to blow. So we want the wind to pass through the alley. It's a dry wind, so it helps us also to get rid of the humidity. And also, if you plant north-south, means that the leaves are exposed east-west. The sun comes from there, so you have more hours of sun. And those are decisions that then, if you want to change, it's complicated. I haven't explained to you how the project started and everything. And this project started with my parents' dream. My mom is from Berges and my dad from Belcaida, a small village 10-minute drive from here. And when they married, they had this dream where they wanted to plant a small vineyard to produce their own wine. And when my sister and I started to grow up, this idea was becoming more enthusiastic. Always the vacations were and are visiting cellars. The wine in the table is the main plate. And one day we decided not to produce wine for us, also to share it with more people. And that's how it all began. And MasGeli, this project wants to be a place that not only grapes grow and wine is made, also a place where music, culture, art, gastronomy, everything combined together, but always the wine as the main thing. Well, these kind of things can happen, no? A place where you can come with people you love, and next to a glass of wine, enjoy the rest of the things. For instance, on that terrace where you are gonna have the lunch. This summer we've been doing, last summer we've been doing concerts with the sunset, with dinners and everything. On the lake next year we are gonna put some boats. That's on a stage also where to do concerts and wine tastings and everything. So the idea, it's a very new project, but the idea is to every year to create these new places where these kind of things, or ice creams, or kind of the activities that we really like to do and enjoy. And now in 2 or 3 weeks, all leaves are gonna fall down, and we're gonna have I don't know the name in English. This
Branch.
yeah, okay, it works. Yeah.
Trunk.
Thank you. The branch, we have to cut it. Okay, we have to prune everything. We do it by hand as well. If you wanna help us. But there's a particularity of this kind of plants that if I cut here instead of here, the plant in spring is gonna grow from here, not from here. And also, if I take that and I tied it here now, and I don't cut it anything, in spring it's not gonna grow from here. It's gonna grow from the highest point of the arc. And this is called apical force. And some plants have that they go for the highest point, and from there grow up. We plant the plants from the very beginning. The plant is like that, and this is root, and then you can only see that much. And in the first year, it grows just that high, and then in winter, what we do is to cut it below again, because we want this plant to have strong roots. So the second year, it grows that high, and with a stick every week. We are tightening it when it grows and forming the first arm. That's during the second year. Third year, we form the second arm, and then cut it in every year. Here you see, this is the cut from last winter. You see here behind from 2 winters ago and 3. So always you keep that T shape, T form, and it's gonna grow that cycle year on year. This building on the left side is where the tractor sleeps and the machines, because before having this building, because it's just 2.5 years old, we were renting a place in Pals, and in the beginning it's okay, but with the tractor it was like 45 minutes, so it was necessary to have this space. Also bathrooms, because before having that building, the bathroom was like people asked, and we said, yeah, wherever you want. Now it's more comfortable, and also a place where we have our office or shop or things, because also earlier at the end of the tours we opened the trunk of the car and it was like contraband, so now it's more controlled and everything. Are you thirsty now? Yeah? Yeah, super. So let's go.